Welcome to Inside Werner Wildlife Museum. My name is India, and today we're going to talk about antlers and horns. If you've never seen an animal use antlers or horns in self-defense, you're probably not spending enough time in the field. Even if you have witnessed this phenomenon, you may not have been clear on which animal was using horns and which was using antlers. Antlers and horns evolved for basically the same reasons: protection from predators, to guard territory and assert dominance, to attract the ladies, and to clear aside impediments to movement and food sources. Pronghorns use their horns to wrestle each other. Bighorn sheep compete with each other by crashing their heads together in spectacular displays of aggression. Not only can horns and antlers be used to inflict considerable amounts of damage on arrival, but they act as shock absorbers to mitigate the effects of repeated blows to the head. Horns and antlers are generally borne by the males, but animal species that evolve in open country, such as the American pronghorn, often produce horned females. Even in species wherein both genders have horns or antlers, males still use these protuberances to attract mates. In the animal world, size matters. Males possessing the most impressive antlers or horns are usually the strongest, best-nourished animals and therefore the most desirable mates. Horns are found primarily in the bovine family, which includes European antelope, domestic cattle, sheep, goats, and bison. American pronghorn also have horns and are the only member of their family. Horns consist of a live bone core covered by exterior sheaths comprised of keratin and protein. The bone is an extension of the skull and remains permanently in place. Rhinoceros horns are a little different, being composed of calcium, keratin, and melanin that softens in the sun and can be shaped by rubbing against the ground. Rhino horns may also regrow after being damaged, depending on how much of the horn is missing. Most horned animals never lose their horns, which continue to grow throughout their lives. Pronghorn antelope are an exception. They shed and regrow exterior sheaths yearly. Antlers are found on members of the deer family and are composed of bone. Unlike horns, which grow from the base, antlers grow from the tip and are shed and replaced yearly. The protrusions on the skull that give rise to antlers are called pedicles. Deer and moose shed antlers in the fall and early winter. Elk shed in the late winter. Once the pedicles heal from shedding, a new set of antlers begins to grow. Each new set of antlers, also called a rack, is larger than the previous year's set until the animal is about 6 or 8 years old, at which time antlers begin to regress in size. From early spring through late fall, fuzzy skin called velvet covers antlers. This skin is supported by an underlying network of blood vessels and nerves. When antler growth is complete in the fall, the velvet dies and the antlers begin to itch. To rid themselves of this nuisance, bucks energetically rub their antlers against trees until only calcified bone remains. Antlers grow up to 3/4 of an inch per day under good conditions, with accompanying skin and nerves keeping pace. Antler nerves generate 10 times faster than human nerves, producing several feet of nerves in less than 3 months. Atypical antlers are abnormally, sometimes grotesquely, misshapen antlers. Atypical antlers can result following an injury to the pedicle. Sometimes the deformity is repeated each season throughout the buck's life. Stunted antler growth can also result in male offspring of does that are undernourished during gestation or lactation. Even though these offspring may be fully nourished during the rest of their lives, stunted antler growth is their lifelong fate. This trait will not be passed on to progeny. A little bit of interesting antler trivia. Antler cells that are transplanted to a mouse's skull will produce antler-like growths on the mouse's head. Mouselopes, anyone? Which brings us to a particularly burning question that should concern all people in Wyoming. How does an animal resulting from a cross between a jackrabbit and an antelope end up with antlers?